Remember when Disney World had big spans of time that were almost empty or at least low crowds? Yeah, those days are mostly gone because Disney has figured out if they throw an event into low crowd times, then those off season times magically disappear. So here is exactly when to go in 2027 and when it's going to be the busiest. Hi, I'm Shannon from www.prepschool.com, where we are kind of known for our crowd calendar. We have had crowd calendars for a very long time. And these are basically big graphics where we show the different days of the year. Green is lower crowds, red is busy crowds, and the colors in between represent crowds in between. And these crowd counters have changed a lot over the years. If I can find an old one, I'll insert it here. But there used to be big spans of times that were green. And Disney got really smart about it. And they said, let's take away the green and let's start putting some stuff in there. If it's not a holiday, it's a Run Disney race. If it's not a Run Disney race, it's a cheer competition. School schedules over the years have also changed and affected the trends in the parks. So things are always fluctuating a little bit, and we are keeping up with it so that we can tell you what we think are going to be the busiest times to go to Disney World. I do want to talk about 2027, but if you're watching this in 2026, I do want to briefly go over the times to go in late 2026 in case you are still planning that trip, starting with the time that goes from basically August 10th to the end of September. Back to school season empties the parks. And during this time, it's a little bit of a sweet spot for low weights and often the lowest cost of the year as well. So, if you want to do it on a budget, this is one way to do it. There are going to be lower crowds, but the trade off for this is extreme heat, humidity, usually daily thunderstorms. It is hurricane season. So, if you're willing to deal with the elements, then it might be worth the trade off because you can get lower costs and lower crowds. I would maybe just also include a little travel insurance just in case. But overall, it can be a really good time to go in terms of crowds. Another good time to go in late 2026 is the first few days of December, like December 1st through the 5th. This is not going to be green on the calendar, but in terms of holiday crowds, it's going to be your best bet. You'll have all the Christmas decorations up because Epcot doesn't do its decorations until after Thanksgiving. So you'll be there for that, plus all the other parks. It'll have lower crowds than the weeks before and after because it's kind of a sweet spot for the festive vibes without peak crowds. And so if you're interested in going during the holiday season, that would be our top pick. We do have information about all of 2026. So if you would like to see the full crowd calendar, head to the link in description to see our predicted crowds for 2026. Now let's talk about 2027. In 2027, the best times to visit, we think, are going to be in late May, first of all. We think this is going to have light to moderate crowds. It's just before Memorial Day rush. It is slightly better weather. It's still going to be hot. There's still probably going to be rain, but it's not quite as bad as the middle of summer, which is actually officially in hurricane season. So this time can be a really good time to go, and it'll definitely be warm enough to swim if that's what you're interested in. And then again in 2027, just like in 2026, we think the last part of August and all of September are going to have lower crowds. It's that back to school thing where people are focused more on schools than they are on vacations. And these are the lowest crowds of the year historically. During this time, you will have the Food and Wine Festival begins in late August usually, and the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. Even though I'm still confused who is thinking about Halloween in August, it is an option. So you have that. This does continue throughout the month of September, just like it did in 2026, with consistent low crowds throughout the month. And then we jump to November, which is pretty busy, but there will likely be a pocket in 2027 between November 15th and 19th, which is kind of a sweet spot between the Veterans Day crowds and the Thanksgiving surge. This will often be warm, but not as warm as the summer months. The averages are in the mid 70s. The decorations are up in many parts of Disney World, although, as I mentioned, Epcot is not doing the holiday thing until after Thanksgiving. And the resorts sort of take their time a little bit throughout the month getting their decorations up, but they'll be up to some degree. And the crowds will be a little bit more manageable during these dates than they will in the weeks surrounding it. I also want to mention about summer because I didn't exactly list summer because I literally skipped over summer months. I went from May to end of August and skipped, June and July and early August. However, these crowds aren't super bad. They aren't going to be the lowest crowds of the year, but they aren't super bad. People used to think of them as the busiest times of year. That is not the case anymore. They are more like moderate crowds. And one of the benefits is for you as a planner that summer and holiday travelers tend to not be planners. So that can work to your advantage if you are a planner, because people that go during the summer and holidays don't tend to know how lightning lanes work. They don't know how to mobile order. They are not rope dropping, this kind of stuff. So if you are going during these times, summer is going to be probably moderately busy, holidays will be very busy. These can still work for you. All of this planning that you're learning to help to avoid the chaos of the crowds, whatever level they happen to be. Let's talk about what weeks to avoid in 2027. Some of these might surprise you, many of them will not. Peak crowds will probably include March 6th to April 4th, which is spring break crowds, with the busiest time always being those days surrounding Easter. And then we jump to the next significant school break of the year, which is fall break. The days surrounding Indigenous Peoples Day slash Columbus Day in October are very, very busy. Some of the busiest of the whole year, but October in general can be quite busy because different schools have different breaks. It's just that a lot of them, kind of like a lot of schools have their off days around Easter, a lot of people have it around Indigenous Peoples Day. And so it can be more busy around those holidays, but still kind of busy for a few different weeks in that same time period. And then another busy time in 2027, one of the busiest is going to be Thanksgiving week. No surprise there. Right after Thanksgiving week, though, it quiets down. So if you want to travel right after Thanksgiving week, that's a good time. And then lastly, one of the busiest weeks of 2027 is going to be December 18th through the 31st, the last part of the month for Christmas crowds. The very busiest is going to be Christmas Day to New Year's. The days before Christmas are busy, but the busiest are Christmas through New Year's. And that has always been the case and will continue to be. Sometimes that might surprise you with how busy they are include January, which has Marathon Weekend, Martin Luther King Day, and February, which has Mardi Gras, President's Day, and Princess Half Marathon. We are constantly trying to warn people about some of these times because a lot of people think if they're going in the winter, it's not going to be busy, but Disney has made them busy. And that includes multiple runDisney events. And then the Mardi Gras crowds come in because people in New Orleans often have this time off. And so they will head to Florida to escape the Mardi Gras crowds. And then they become part of the crowds at Disney World. So I want to make sure everybody knows that those are not unbusy times. So yeah, Disney might have killed the slow season for the most part, but they didn't kill your options. Late August, September, early December, May, they will still beat the chaos. You just have to know exactly what you're walking into and to always remember that planners can go anytime because the point of planning advice is to help you navigate around all of that. So you just have to kind of pick your poison. Heat, humidity, holiday crowds. What are you walking into? It is your choice. But being smart about when you go is only part of the battle, but being smart about what you do once you're there is the other half. So keep following for more advice about how to maximize your lighting lanes, how to do your touring in the parks, et cetera, et cetera. And you'll beat the crowds no matter what week you decide to go. I think that is it for now. Do you have any questions? Do you have any comments? I'd love to hear those down in the comment section. And thanks for watching.